Pint of broom for Jare, scunt. I wish I had a pint of broom here. Next time we go to New York, we should check a pint of broom in our baggage. In fact, fuck that. We should carry it on the plane. Just carry on a pint of broom on
You
the
never
plane.
know when you need one.
You never know when you need one. We could use one right now.
Everybody, welcome to Ectoplasm and Evil.
Ectoplasm and Evil, let's go.
A podcast where we talk about ectoplasm and evil.
And evil. If you don't know what ectoplasm is, it's the stuff that paranormal entities are made of. Or maybe not all paranormal entities, but ghosts, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
we're doing paranormal, we're doing true crime, and we're wrapping it all in one fun package.
big facts, big facts. This is a long-awaited podcast. Swasti's been threatening to do it for over a year now. Our good friends at Apogee actually gave us these microphones a year ago.
They did. I'm so sorry to all of you. I know you've been waiting for this.
Quick shout out to Apogee, to our friends at Apogee for sponsoring us with these hype mics. This is making the process incredibly easy. It really is just plug and play. So I highly suggest if you're an aspiring podcaster, a musician, content creator, anything that would involve needing a microphone, the Apogee Hype Mic is the way to go. Super affordable, comes in a kit that has all the cables you would need, plugs right into your computer, plugs right into your phone.
Yeah, even to someone like me who's just absolutely not tech savvy at all.
Right, yeah, even easy for you to use.
Mm-hmm.
Got 3 different levels of compression on there, so you could get that radio voice sound.
Yep.
We're using a little bit of compression right now.
Yeah.
It's got input monitoring directly on board, so you could hear yourself through your headphones. I mean, this little mic has it all.
It does. You can plug it right into your phone. Did you say that already?
I did say that. I did,
Sorry.
but it's nice that you said it again to drive it home, because this is really the new way for content creation.
It is. It's awesome.
And look how tiny it comes with a nice little carrying case.
Yeah. You can take it on the plane. You can take it wherever. You can take it in the car.
Anywhere you want to go.
Now, if you hear any pitter pattering during this podcast, it's not a ghost. Oh, it's our dog.
Oh, there he is.
Olo.
It's like he knew you was talking about him.
Yeah. He might chatter a bit here and there, and for that we apologize. He's still a puppy.
He is still a pup. He's still learning.
Yeah.
He's unaware that we're podcasting.
Yeah, he just thinks we're ignoring him instead of playing with him, which is kind of sad, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of sad.
What's really exciting about this is Tenn and I bonded over Halloween and spooky stuff almost immediately.
Yeah, we talked about that pretty early. We both discovered that we had a big interest in all types of supernatural, paranormal type shit.
Yeah, and that love is coming together here today.
Yeah, we love Halloween.
As you could tell, this is year-round decor.
It's a very special inaugural episode.
It is. This is a big one.
Because this is the Jumbee episode, Bana. Jumbee. Jumbee is the general Caribbean term for any type of supernatural or paranormal entity. So it's kind of like a broad term, I would say. But keep in mind, of course, these things are all rooted in folklore. Different people might have different interpretations of what it is, right? So for some people, Jumbee might be a little bit more specific. For some people, it might be a little bit more general. None of those interpretations are wrong. It just depends on, your family, Wow, man.
That was quite the interruption.
Yeah. It just depends on your family. Should we just stop until he stops?
Yeah, let's just pause for a second. Don't look at him. By the way, I've played with him like 4 times already today.
You've been playing with him all day long.
Like it never stops. And that's because he can't go for walks yet because he's not vaccinated.
That's correct, unfortunately. And he's not vaccinated because he had a skin infection and broke his paw. So he was on pain meds. He was on antibiotics, antifungals. And so it was too much for his little 4-pound body to handle that and vaccinations at the same time. So his vaccination rounds started a little late.
Yeah. But it looks like he's silenced out now. So let's...
So this is a very special Jumbee episode. And I'm giving that background to our listeners out there because at this point, I think you're fairly familiar with Jumbee.
Yeah, I am.
We've been together for 14 years. I've been filling your head with Jumbee stuff.
You have been.
For a while.
I just want to let everybody know that Lolo is back in his bed, so I think we're on for smooth sailing for the rest of this fucking podcast.
Stay in your bed, bro.
Just stay in your bed.
Stay in your bed. It's nice there.
Listen to some Jumbee stories.
Yeah, it looks comfy.
I'm gonna give him some high value treats after we're done with this.
High value treats.
High value treat. I learned this. I know it's like really weird, but high value treats is like chicken, like actual chicken, and not like those little processed treats.
Right.
Because that's like special. Super special. So he only gets those when he's like being especially chill. I read this on a Reddit thread.
Okay.
It was a girl with a Labradoodle.
Nice.
And Labradoodles are hyper, and it was Labradoodle puppy. And she said this dog, within 3 weeks of her just rewarding him while he's like laying around and being good and quiet, started doing that a lot more for these high value chicken treats.
If anything helps, because this dog getting on bad, This dog getting on real bad,
He himself is like a Jumbee. He's terrorizing the house and we can't do anything about it.
He is a Jumbee.
You can't even do a
we
jarre.
We need a pint of broom for jarre, scunt. I wish I had a pint of broom here. Next time we go to New York, we should check a pint of broom in our baggage. In fact, fuck that. We should carry it on the plane. Just carry on a pint of broom on the plane.
You never know when you need one.
You never know when you need one. We could use one right now.
We could.
I mean, first of all, not only is it a functional way to clean your house.
Yeah.
Right? But it also serves to jarre.
And you can beat people with it if you need to.
People, entities, anything.
Anyone.
You know what I mean?
Anyone can be beat with that.
Yeah.
Should we explain to the audience what a pointer broom is?
Yeah, let's start right there. Pint of broom, which is a pointer broom, for those not familiar with Caribbean Creole. Some people call it a coconut broom. Hopefully I'm correct about this. But the reason it's called a coconut broom is because it's made from, those sticks are from the stems of a coconut tree.
Ah.
Get a bunch of them, you tie them together, all of a sudden you get a pint of broom.
That's pretty cool.
Pint of broom is one of the key ways that you can ward off Jumbees.
Beat their ass out of the house.
Yeah, so you got to walk around pint of broom on your waist.
You never know when you
Just
need it.
keep it on you.
Yeah.
Keep the pint of broom on me. You know what I mean? Pint of broom ready to go.
Okay, so I want to hear about a few of the Jumbees that are like leaping out that you want to talk about now.
Okay.
On this cast. I know there's a lot, but let's
Yeah.
talk about like a good handful.
There's a lot, but there's I think there's only a few main ones that people talk about.
Okay.
Right? So I guess the first one that jumps to mind is Ol Haig.
Ol Haig. I've heard a little bit of Ol Haig.
Yeah, Ol Haig, aka Fire Ass,
Fire Ass.
aka Sukuyant.
Sukuyant.
I even might be saying it wrong.
What does that mean? What does that break down to?
I believe Sukuyant is French origin, Creole French origin. I could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But that term is more used in Trinidad than it is in Guyana.
Got you.
But I think it's all meant to describe the same entity.
Ah.
And be aware, there are some people who make distinctions between them. Some people, I've heard people say that Fire Ass is not the same thing as Ol Haig. But for the purposes of this podcast, the way I've heard it is interchangeable.
Okay.
I particularly love Fire Ass.
Yeah, I mean that's a great name.
Just like
break that one down for the
Fire Ass.
folks.
So Fire Ass, fire.
Yeah.
Literally fire, and I'll explain why fire is a part of the name. Ras is basically the most commonly used Guyanese expletive that we have, right? The origins, I don't think there's any like real proof as to what they are, or if there are, I don't know them. They're probably not documented. But what I've heard from people, like what I've heard from my my elders and my family and stuff like that, is that it's an amalgam of like your ass, right? The R from your, and then ass,
right?
Ras.
Yeah.
So, and Ras is one of those that's interchangeable among all Caribbean dialects. I'm pretty sure all Caribbean countries use Ras. You're gonna hear Trinidadians using it, Jamaicans using it, Guyanese using it. But even though it's similar to ass, we don't really use it the same way as you use ass most of the time. People just pepper it into conversation.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. And that could be the subject of a whole other podcast.
Oh,
of
yeah.
course. But Fire Ass is definitely my favorite term for Ol Haig. So let's break down what Ol Haig is.
Yes.
So Ol Haig is a vampiric creature.
Okay. Yeah, we need to know what we're looking out for if we ever run into Ol Haig.
You do.
/ Fire Ass / Sukuntia?
Sukuyant.
Sukuyant,
really.
Sukuyant.
Because it's Soucuyant.
Okay.
I think. Sukuyant.
Sukuyant.
So Ol Haig is a vampiric type of a creature, right?
Okay.
The reason I call it a vampiric kind of a creature is because it sucks your blood.
Okay.
That's its aim. A lot of people say that it generally tends to target little children or newborns. I guess that's its favorite type of blood. But it will get any type of blood that's available.
Okay.
So I guess it's a little bit more badass than a regular vampire because it can walk during the day.
Oh.
But that's because it's really in a vessel.
Does it sparkle like Twilight?
You know,
in the sun?
I've never heard that, but that's a good question. Maybe we should ask someone who's seen a Fire Ass.
Maybe that's where the author, I'm forgetting her name, was Stephanie Myers, drew inspiration from.
Is that the Twilight author?
I think so.
Oh, no.
I hope so. If I'm wrong, I'll get rid of that clip. But if I'm right, I'm keeping it in.
Cut that.
Oh, now we're stealing someone else's inside joke.
Yeah.
It's for our own podcast.
So essentially, a Fire Ass is always during the daytime going to appear to be an old woman. So people always say it's like an old woman that lives by herself, usually in like a remote village or like a remote part of town.
Does she live in a candy house like Hansel and Gretel?
No, that's more like a witch.
Got you.
You know
okay, yeah, right. She's not a witch. She's a vampiric creature.
Yeah. She's not a witch per se. There's no witchcraft.
This is so interesting.
Okay. Right, but so like unlike regular vampires can be any gender. Usually, Fire Ass is described as an old woman during the day, so it's usually going to be just an old woman, like I said, who lives in a remote part of town or like in a remote village.
Does she interact with people? Does she ask for like help to cross the street and shit?
Yeah, so as I've heard, she can interact with people during the day.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's different accounts of it, obviously, or people that have had different interactions. But yeah, I've heard that she can blend into society.
So does she try and lure in victims?
So I don't think she tries to lure victims in.
Okay.
It's a good question. So it's wearing that skin vessel during the day of this old lady, right?
Yeah.
Generally like a creepy seeming old lady.
Yeah.
At night, the Fire Ass can shed this vessel, and it's just sort of like a ball of fire.
Oh, wait, I did not expect that.
That's how it travels.
Oh.
Right? It travels that way. So the Fire Ass gets in your house through the keyhole. Oh. Through the fucking keyhole. If you can imagine.
So she's
that.
like a peeping Tom, but not.
That's why you should have a smart lock.
Yeah, she's not getting in.
Fuck the keyhole. Then you got no Fire Ass.
Now, is it just keyholes, or does she like come down the chimney like a la Santa, or like through cracks like roaches or spiders?
That's a great question, because I've always heard the Lord just referring to keyholes, but I can't imagine why she wouldn't be able to use any orifice that your house had. I don't know if orifice is the correct word for not a human body, for a house, but I mean, any opening. I don't know why she wouldn't be able to use any opening that the house had, right? If I was a Fire Ass,
I would use whatever I could.
In fact, I'd be like, well, motherfuckers is expecting the keyhole.
I'm coming out like the toilet, the sink, down the chimney.
Maybe not the toilet, I don't know, but
just to mess with people.
Imagine that. Imagine you just on a toilet.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fucked up. So Fire Ass at night will shed its skin, travel around in this ball of fire. I've heard elders say they see like this kind of ball of fire or this orb zipping around in the sugarcane field and shit like that.
Is it like small, big?
I guess I don't know.
Shape shifting, I guess.
Probably something like it seems like it's a wispy orb.
Okay.
So I guess during the day it gets to know where people are and maybe where newborns are and kids, whoever its victim is going to be, comes in through the keyhole and comes and sucks your blood. It doesn't necessarily finish a victim.
I was going to ask that.
Right. It's not like it wants, I think, a constant feed.
Oh, it's like a mosquito.
Kind of like a mosquito, but it will drain you till you're dead.
Okay, so it takes its time with you.
It takes its time.
Because then it doesn't have to rush to find someone else.
So I have heard like tales of like children mysteriously dying of blood loss because of this, right? Like newborn babies and stuff like that, right? Yeah. I don't know if there's any documented tales of this,
right? But
I have heard those stories kind of travel around, right?
Now, is it still in ball form when it sucks your blood?
That's a great question. I don't think so, because I think the actual Fire Ass like takes shape as just a like a paranormal entity, probably of like a real scary looking creature. Yeah, that's not exactly the old lady form that it has. Probably looking closer to like a Krampus. I don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? That probably
situation.
Yeah, maybe like that. Yeah. By the way, any listeners to this podcast, if you have accounts, we would love to hear.
Yeah, if you got a Fire Ass story, if you've seen Fire Ass,
look it up.
I want to hear all about it.
And we do know someone that's seen. Well, I'm gonna tell that story just now.
Yeah. If you've had your blood sucked and you have like puncture wounds somehow, I want to hear about that.
Let's see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what'll happen. So normally the Fire Ass will pull up, right, and you'll wake up. You'll notice that you have puncture wounds. I remember one time I saw when we were younger, we were just like looking up old Huygen shit to see if like people had written about it.
Yeah.
I think somebody on Urban Dictionary, like they wrote it. You have an example of Urban Dictionary. Yeah. I think the example was like, or has my Fire Ass sucked my blood last night.
That's amazing.
Which I think is the only appropriate reaction. if you fucking wake up and you see puncture wounds anywhere in your body, you go, oh, Ras, my Fire Ass sucked my blood last night. So at that point, of course, then you're aware that a Fire Ass is targeting you. You're going to want to take preventative measures.
Well, sleep with that pointer broom.
Correct, but there are better ones.
Oh, there's more.
Correct.
All right.
There's a few that I've heard of.
Let's go down
This is how you get rid of a Fire Ass.
Okay, this is crucial information.
This is crucial
to any listener out there who may be hit with the Fire Ass.
And I have a couple anecdotes about it afterward.
Yeah, let's just put this in your brain bank.
So, number one, the Fire Ass is only vulnerable when it's outside of the vessel. The old lady vessel.
Okay.
I believe.
So you can't destroy.
Or it's most vulnerable then.
You can't destroy the fire ass necessarily when she's in old woman form.
I think you can, but it's like not. It's not necessarily recommended or the safest or something like that.
Okay, gotcha.
But I'll get to a fucked up story about that. So what you're supposed to, there's a couple things that I've heard. Number one is, so when the fire ass strips its skin.
Yeah, snake.
Like a snake to travel around. It stores its skin in a calabash. You know what is a calabash?
Is that fruit? A gourd?
Yeah, it's a gourd, yeah. If you suspect somebody being a fire ass and you kind of like post up outside the crib and, make sure they can't see you, like surveillance.
Yeah.
And then you see the ball of fire leaving.
Yeah.
Then if you pull up to the crib while it's gone and look for the calabash, if you find it, what you would do is rub pepper sauce. Some people say salt, which is your general combat parent. But,
of course.
But I've heard more people in Guyana say pepper sauce. Pepper sauce for those that are.
Yeah. People need to know what that
pepper
is.
Sauce.
Pepper sauce. We put that shit on everything.
I can't imagine being at my grandma's house and be like, yo, Aji, could you pass me the pepper sauce?
The pepper sauce.
The pepper sauce. What you want?
the pepper sauce.
The pepper sauce. It's in the pepper sauce. Why in excess of pepper sauce? Well, anyway, so if you rub pepper sauce inside the calabash, now when she comes back and puts the skin on, it's gonna burn her to death.
Yes.
To death, right?
Okay.
So pepper sauce has not only does it taste amazing,
but
not to me because I can't handle the spice, but to other Guyanese people.
Yeah.
Not only does it taste amazing, but it can help you combat paranormal entities such as Ohag. So it has magical properties.
Here's a question: if you eat the pepper sauce before Ohag bites you in her weakened form, can that take her out?
That's a great question. If I was to use deductive reasoning, I would go out on a limb and say no, it won't help because I would think that all Guyanese people are eating copious amounts of pepper sauce all the time.
That's true.
And so if that worked,
then
there would be no tales of
prey.
Be no. So that probably can't be true.
Yeah, that's just me hoping.
Yeah, but it's a good thought. It's a good thought. So that's one.
Okay.
Number two is, and this one is really interesting to me, and I'm not saying that I do or don't believe in Ohag or that I do or don't believe in vampires, that they do exist, that they have ever existed.
I can believe it.
But another way to combat Ohag, to prevent Ohag from coming to your house, what you do is you toss a bunch of rice in front of your doorstep. The reason being, if she sees grains of rice, she's compelled to stay there and count them. They're obsessed with counting.
Oh my God.
So Ohag will stay there and count, and the idea is, you put enough that it'll take her all night. You open your door in the morning and you will see this tired old woman, tired from counting the rice all night, and then you beat it with the broom. You beat it with the pine through broom till it dies. That's what I've heard.
Listen.
Right?
Now I'm curious as to whether Sesame Streets count.
So that's what I was getting to. So the interesting thing is that lore about the counting, the compulsion to count, is present in multiple different cultures' tales about vampires.
No way.
Yeah. So that's not just a Caribbean thing, right? Okay, so in Europe, there's the belief that vampires are compelled to count spilled seeds or grains. Some Slavic coastal towns also believe that vampires would count the holes in a fishing net. So it was common practice to scatter seeds outside entrances of a home or drape fishing nets over them. And there are even some Chinese myths that say that vampires must count every grain if they come across a bag of rice. A vampire would stop to count, delaying them until sunup. In that type of lore where you have a vampire that's gonna, when the sun comes up, it's just gonna die, right? Turn into dust. Here, obviously, it's a little bit different. The fact that the common denominator here is that like vampiric creatures are compelled to count, I think that's a little interesting. And
that's really interesting.
That is I think that is the origin of Count Von Count on Sesame Street.
That makes sense.
Right? Yeah. Maybe there's studies and professors out there or something that could shed a little more insight into it on how these stories travel from culture to culture. Or there is the possibility that these were independently arrived at because these things were real and that's what happened, right?
Sounds legit to me.
Yeah. A third way that I've heard, and I think for this one you gotta be nice with it. I've heard people say that if you just stop up your keyhole with something, Ohag can't come inside.
Yeah.
But what I've also heard was that if you turn your key in the lock when Ohag is in the keyhole, wrap. But I think for that one you gotta be nice with it.
Yeah, you gotta be like, you gotta know she's coming,
right? Yeah.
You saw the puncture wounds one night, and then
and if she's traveling around in a wispy orb, right? Imagine how quick she's sliding through the keyhole.
Oh yeah.
So there's just, I mean, you got to be nice.
You're
with
just
it
sitting there like,
just flick of the wrist. You know what I mean? Like the timing on that.
Yeah.
Bro, that would be a viral TikTok.
It would be.
You know
If anything could go viral.
That's right. I'm gonna make that shit tomorrow.
Just thinking.
Any old hikes, pull up, son. I got you. I'll be all day long. I'll be practicing
your key
flick. My key flick. And when you pull up,
gone.
Wrapped.
And then we got proof of all hike and
a viral TikTok.
Yeah.
Back to the beating. This incident reminded me of the ignorance of the world during like the witch trials, and just other ways that women have been treated terribly over the years in the world. Folklore can get the best of people and drive them to do terrible, fucking unspeakable things. As recently as 2007. There was a story in Guyana of a woman. Her name was Radhika Singh. And this is a very sad story. She apparently was a mentally ill woman. I believe she was in her 50s. Forgive me if I'm messing up any of the details of the story, but you can Google it and you can see it. There were 3 men, I believe. And I think one of them had an infant that did wake up with puncture wounds, and God knows what it was from.
Yeah.
I guess this woman, because she was in the vicinity, apparently because she was mentally ill, she perhaps had a habit of like roaming and stuff like that. I read before that she got lost, like she wasn't in her village. She had roamed a little bit too much, right?
Okay.
This guy saw her, tried to communicate with her because he suspected her of being an old hag.
Right.
I guess she was a little disheveled as well. She didn't communicate back coherently. And so apparently this guy started calling out neighbors and stuff, being like, this lady's an old hag.
Please.
So from the way I hear it, there was a crowd assembled. 3 people beat this woman to death because they suspected her of being an old hag. Obviously, she was not.
Yeah,
she was
wasn't.
just a normal woman. I don't know if this is true or not, but I have read news stories that said that they actually got off on all the charges.
Kidding me.
Yeah, that they did not.
Of course.
Yeah, if that's true, that's even more fucked up. I mean, it's fucked up for that to happen in the first place.
Yeah.
Even more fucked up for them to not do time for that.
And sadly, I'm not surprised because nobody really gives a fuck about women.
Yeah. It's pretty much what happens.
That's so unfortunate. That's so sad.
Asterisk on sort of any tale that we're telling.
Yeah.
Don't let your mind get the better of you. And certainly don't fucking beat people to death.
No. Unless you see ball of fire form.
Ball of fire. Look for the ball of fire.
Or skin in a calabash.
If you have not seen a ball of fire.
Or skin in a calabash.
Or skin in a calabash. Chill the fuck out.
Yeah, don't be crazy.
Yeah. When I read that, I was just so shocked by how recent it was.
Yeah.
Because that sort of thing does sound like it's a colonial era type of issue.
Like back when the witch trials were
correct.
happening.
Like it really sounds like that. But I was like, we were seniors in high school and freshmen in college in 2007. That's like not that long ago.
We were just hitting each other up on AIM.
Yeah, exactly. The same time that we were hitting each other up on AIM. When I was sliding in your DM. Yeah. There were ignorant people beating people to death, suspecting them of being an old hag. So that's terrible. I would hope that that's never repeated itself since then, and that it continues to never repeat itself.
Definitely.
But I do have, we do have an old hag story to share.
Yes, I think now is the appropriate time to share it.
This is a personal account from one of our followers, a lovely girl named Elizabeth.
Yes. If you have any great stories, feel free to DM us on Ectoplasm and Evil on Instagram, or at Tenn Buick, or at I am Swasti Shukla.
Elizabeth is Trinidadian, for context, so she more refers to it as a Sukuyant. Elizabeth comes from Queens, New York, just like me. Queens get the money. Okay, so Elizabeth said that an elderly woman moved in across the street. Okay. She said that from the jump, the elderly woman, she just felt bad vibes around her. Right. She couldn't really put her finger on it. Yeah. But she says she was a little bit strange, I guess not very friendly, stuff like that.
Your gut knows.
Right. This lady was across the street from Elizabeth. Yeah. She was next to another family that Elizabeth was very friendly with. Elizabeth said that family was a very sweet set of people. Right. Very friendly to everyone. And, they kind of give everybody the benefit of the doubt type people, cool with everybody. And she said even they felt a little bit off-put by her.
That's when you know.
Right.
When the neighborhood nice guy's got a problem with you, that's when you know.
Elizabeth's Nani from Trinidad was staying with them at the time. And if you guys don't know, Nani is a term for your maternal grandmother. Nani, Nana, Aji, Aja. The elders in your family, they obviously usually know the most about folklore and shit, right? They're closer to those folktales than you are. So they usually got the knowledge. You want to pay attention to that.
You do.
Yeah.
They'll give you all the tips you need to know to get rid of them, if you run into them, what to look out for.
Elizabeth said that her and her cousin... they would joke, semi-jokingly, that this lady was probably a Sukuyant, a fire ass. Gotcha. But she was like, it was a semi-joke because for whatever reason, we both actually did feel that she legitimately was one. Yeah. Independently of Elizabeth's Nani also felt that. So she didn't say anything to anybody.
Right.
But one thing she would do, which I have heard in other regions, of course, is another preventative measure. Turn a pint of broom upside down outside your front door.
Okay.
As a preventative measure to ward off Jumbees from coming in, right?
Right.
Apparently, Elizabeth's nanny, every night before she went to bed, she would do that with the pint of broom.
Oh, shit.
Elizabeth was unaware of why.
Okay.
She thought it was maybe like, oh, she just swept and she's just storing it that
it's like
way.
an easy way to
or
just
whatever.
put it down.
No, that was a very purposeful move. She suspected that lady of being a fire ass. She was stopping her from coming into the house. One night, Elizabeth and her cousin are on the front porch, smoking a little ganja.
Of course, as one does.
They got a little uneasy feeling.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, time to go inside. Before they did that, though, they decided to take a preventative measure.
Okay.
They were like, you know what? I think this lady is a fire ass. Got a bad feeling about tonight. We should go just surround her property in salt. Just a line of salt.
Trap her in there.
Trap her in there, just in case. Right? So, that's not really vandalism. It's pretty harmless.
Yeah. Sweep it away.
Sweep
with your
it.
point of broom.
So her and her cousin, they went across the street and they did surround the property in salt.
Nice.
For those of you not familiar with Queens, New York, like the houses aren't very big. So, and the property isn't very big. You depending on where in Queens you are, but for where we're talking about, like the property is not huge. So it doesn't take forever
to line out
to line it up with salt, right? So they did that, and then they went inside because they came out like after the family had retired to bed.
Yeah.
They moved the pint of broom the way that Nani had set it up.
Okay.
They didn't think that they needed to put it back that same way because they were like, it was like whatever. They didn't realize there was a point to it.
So now it's the wrong way.
So now it's the wrong way.
Got you.
They go inside the house.
Yeah.
Elizabeth wakes up and she's got black and blues on her legs.
Okay, I didn't know what turn this was going to take.
Yeah. So she got black and blues on her legs.
Yeah.
At that point, I guess she's suspecting that, oh, fuck. Or Rasbai.
Yeah.
Or Rasbai. Fire ass sucked my blood last night. They decided to check cameras. They had surveillance cameras, right?
Right.
The cameras caught them going across... I think probably smoking their ganja.
Yeah.
But also going across the street and
lining
up the house, right? So I guess the camera had at least the front of the supposed fire ass's house in view.
Right.
So they were like, why are you going to harass the lady for? Right? You just, fucking put in salt and shit.
Yeah.
So, but what they also caught on that camera.
Well, there's more, yes.
There's more. What they also caught on that camera was that when she came inside, when her and her cousin came inside after lining the property with salt, they said that they caught on this camera, the lady came outside and she walked up to the line of salt, but not past it.
Getting
not
chills.
past it, right?
Because she's trapped.
Because she's trapped. She then got on the phone.
Yeah.
I think she got on the phone and went inside to make this phone call.
Phoned a friend.
Phoned a friend. They said someone came and swept this salt away. And then, of course, as we know, Elizabeth was black and blue.
That's fire ass.
Sounding pretty fire ass, right? After the salt was swept, you wouldn't catch her again on camera because she'd be coming in fire ass form.
Yeah.
You probably can't even see it on camera.
Right.
She probably could, even if you could, she could come around the camera.
Right.
Right? Anything like that.
Probably moving too quick.
Probably moving too quick. So that's pretty freaky. They sold that house and moved a year later.
Yeah.
I actually probably would have just stayed up with my key.
That's what you would have really done. Working on it.
Work
for that viral TikTok.
All day long. And this took place way before TikTok.
But you'd be ready.
But I'd be ready. You know what I mean? I'd be just for the glory.
That's huge bragging rights.
Just huge bragging rights. After that, she said that she did confer, she obviously talked about the situation with her family and her friends.
Yeah.
And that is when she discovered that Nani also had been suspecting this woman of being a fire ass.
Right.
Yeah, that's a pretty good fire ass story.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
That's such a good story. I love stories like that.
Yeah. And what's interesting about it is that it is fairly modern. I think I think she was placing it at around maybe like 2008, 9, that type of thing, where, a lot of the fire ass stories I've heard from previous are like way back in Guyana.
Right.
Type of stories.
But this puts it in your backyard in Queens.
Yeah.
In New York. They're crossing borders.
Fire ass could be anywhere. Mm-hmm. Fire ass could be anywhere.
She could be.
Some people believe that fire ass was even brought to the Caribbean, like via Europe and stuff like that. Yeah.
She was a stowaway, like the rats that brought the plague.
Right. That's Olhaig.
That's
AKA
fire ass.
AKA
shit. Sukayant?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. I shouldn't even be quizzing you on that because I don't know if I'm saying it right. I can vouch for all Hagen fire ass.
Right.
For sure.
I can't wait for someone to like be like, actually, fix it if it's wrong.
Yeah,
please.
no, if it's wrong, we apologize. We're not going to argue with you.
Yeah, apologize for any
You know what I mean?
mispronunciations.
Yeah.
Who are we looking for next?
All right, so now we're talking about moon gazer.
Moon gazer.
Yeah, as in one who gazes at the moon.
That's romantic.
I'm about to say, and while that sounds romantic, it's not very.
Now, are you going to paint a picture of what moon gazer looks like so we can figure out who we're looking out for?
Moon gazer is pretty hard to miss because moon gazer is actually gigantic.
Oh.
So moon gazer is an entity that comes out during the full moon.
Okay, of course, naturally.
I've heard people say that perhaps like bonfires and things like that could attract it.
Oh, because it thinks that's the moon?
I'm not sure if it's just like a bonfire on a full moon.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But for sure it comes out during the full moon.
Gotcha.
A lot of the Jumbee knowledge I have is from Aja.
Okay.
Aja is your paternal grandfather. Aja had the best Jumbee stories. I mean, you've met him before. The way that he tells stories.
Yeah, he commands the audience.
He commands the audience. Yeah, it's something that I can only aspire to. It was really amazing to watch him like give a speech or just even something simple like tell a story.
Right.
The way that he told the story, it's like, oh man, I really want to sit and listen. He could narrate anything,
yeah,
or recount any tale, and it's going to all of a sudden become very interesting to
you.
So what he told me about moon gazer, it likes to gaze upon the full moon. Yeah. That's why it's called moon gazer. So pretty aptly named entity, right? But it's huge. Yeah. So huge, in fact, that you could actually mistake its legs for like street lamps.
What?
It's tall as fuck. And so the idea is it's kind of standing above a road. It usually stands above a road.
Why a road?
Or I'll tell you why.
Okay.
A road or a path. As soon as an unsuspecting passerby walks between his legs, shut, dead, squeeze the life out of you.
For what? We went from gazing at the moon to squishing people in the road?
Yeah, just because he's, not a nice person.
Does he eat them at least or something?
No, I think it's just killing for killing's sake.
That's the worst kind.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
Because, old Haig, at least she's feeding on your blood, she's got purpose.
Right.
She's got a reason.
Sustenance.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she's an animal like the rest of us.
She's just trying to eat. Okay?
Right. But
we can all understand that, but moon gazer? Like, fuck you.
Maybe he just needs someone to gaze at the moon with. You know what I mean? Maybe it's like the Ents, right? Like the Ent wives are lost.
Right.
Maybe the moon gazer wives are lost.
He needs Mrs. Moon Gazer.
If that could be a nice mission. If you're aware of any type of paranormal entity that could serve as Mrs. Moon Gazer.
I mean, he's taking apps, clearly.
Taking apps. Sounds as though he just got a lot of pent up sexual tension.
And he's putting anything between his legs.
Putting anything between. You're right. I get that. If I wasn't getting any, probably be upset too.
Yeah, you're gonna lash out somewhere.
Then I'll be standing up, just gazing at the moon and squeezing the life out of people that come around me.
A little love, a little murder. I mean, what's his face look like? Do we know?
I don't know. I haven't heard much. I think he maybe is so high up there that you're not.
You just can't see.
Yeah, because it's dark too, right? Yeah. Probably not good. You know what I mean? I doubt whether it would be good.
I doubt it as well. I mean, that's why he doesn't have a Mrs. Moon Gazer. He can't be a looker.
Maybe that's why he doesn't have one. Yeah, maybe that's why.
He's not a looker. He's got no personality, clearly.
Right. I mean, nothing to bring to the table. Right? What type of a package is he?
He's not.
He's not a high value entity.
He's not.
Basically, you just want to make sure that on the nights of the full moon, that you are watching where you're walking. I've heard, you can avoid moon gazer by just sneaking around his legs.
Seems simple.
Right, yeah. Probably once he posts up, he's not really trying to move around, right?
Because that's suspicious.
That's weird.
Yeah.
So if you just kind of skirt around. So it seems actually a fairly easy thing to avoid.
You just got to be paying attention to your surroundings. You can't be on your cell phone walking down a path.
Do not want to be,
driving down a path.
Full moon, do not be on your phone. You don't want to do that anyway.
No.
You know what I mean? You should not be walking and texting.
Definitely should not be driving.
Do not drive and text. You know what I'm saying?
I hate that.
Yeah, if you drive and text, stop listening to this fucking podcast because I don't even fuck with you. I don't even fuck with you if you drive and text. You know what I mean?
That's like half the people.
Yeah, but you should stop. You should stop doing it.
It's not safe for you.
It kills people.
Or anyone else.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It kills people. Yeah.
Shit's dangerous.
I'm saying.
Talking to my father because I know he does that shit too.
Wow.
And he'll probably listen to this. And,
Wow.
You know, because I'm going to send it to them.
Time for a lecture. Frequents quiet roadways, crossroads, shorelines, and cliff edges.
Oh.
Cliff edges is interesting.
So don't go to your makeout point at the cliff edge.
Right. Yeah. That's a common theme in very like horror-esque things,
It
right?
is.
Like there's a makeout point.
Yeah.
But whoever goes there is doomed.
Cliff edge by the ocean. He's got both.
Yeah.
He's gonna be jealous of your love and clapped.
Don't make out at makeout point. Just go back to the crib or almost anywhere else.
Anywhere else.
Yeah.
Drive-in movie, whatever. They still have.
Well, I
those
guess
every so often.
I guess the whole point of makeout point was that like it was for people that like couldn't make
go
out the crib, right? Yeah. But just find a new place.
Yeah, find another spot.
His only warning before he slams his legs shut
Warning.
is a shrill, spine-tingling whistle,
Ew.
which he emits right before he traps you.
So you have a hot second to run.
Yeah. Other than that, he says nothing at all.
So that's all he's bringing to the table. There's no conversation. He's just fucking whistling.
Right.
No wonder he's got no girls or whoever he's into.
Oh, okay. So he's also said to be responsible for many late-night car crashes.
What a bastard. As if we don't have enough problems. Does he like walk away or just
I think so. It
evaporate?
says he disappears into a thick vapor that lingers on the spot. So it's kind of like a misty presence. Yeah. Okay. And interestingly enough, that kind of brings us to the next Jumbee I was going to discuss.
Okay.
Because I read there that some people say that he likes to stick close to silk cotton trees.
Silk cotton trees.
Silk cotton trees. And silk cotton trees are actually known as Jumbee trees.
No way.
They are. They're pretty deeply tied to a lot of Jumbee stories, but very specifically, I think, to the General Dutchman ghost. The Dutchman Jumbee.
So the Flying Dutchman.
The original Flying Dutchman.
That's him.
So for context, for those not familiar, Guyana and the rest of the Caribbean, of course, has a bloody history of colonization. The Dutch were the first Europeans to colonize Guyana. And then there was the Brits, the French came. There was a lot of fighting amongst each other, killing each other, whatever. They're all terrible people. For whatever reason, people say that the Dutchman ghosts are pretty prevalent there. There's a lot of talk about those. I haven't actually heard other people say that they think like the Brits are hunting it. I've just heard Dutchman. Like,
that's very interesting. So they were like the more
right.
They wanted to stick around.
And a lot of it is actually tied to like horrible ways that they treated slaves and shit like that.
Okay.
So it's pretty gruesome.
That's upsetting.
Aj's mom, the house that they grew up in, they said was haunted because it was on haunted land or whatever.
By a Dutchman.
By multiple.
Not just one.
She said that she would wake up in the morning. So there was apparently all types of like creepy bump in the night type shit that would happen at the crib.
Of course. Natural. If you're haunted by one thing,
right,
you're gonna have that. But haunted by multiple.
But she would wake up in the morning as she was walking like downstairs to go to the kitchen start her day. She would literally be walking on like corpses.
What?
She would just ignore it because apparently she was a bad motherfucker. I heard from my dad, because Aj's mom and dad is his grandparents, and like my dad spent a lot of time with his Aja and Aji. He said they were both bad motherfuckers. Like he said they were just super stoic, so there was nothing that would frighten them, including Jumbees of any kind.
How?
So not people, not Jumbees. Like they were just bad motherfuckers.
Couldn't be me.
Right, yeah.
I'd be screaming and crying.
So apparently Aj's mom would literally just like walk over like Jumbee corpses because they were trying to fuck with her.
Yeah.
But she wasn't buying into it.
Wow.
That's what I heard.
Wow. She's brave.
Yeah. If Aji tells it now, she'll be like, Mama used to mash hand and foot when she was walking to the kitchen.
Oh, that's macabre.
That's macabre.
That's even worse than just walking on Dutchman corpses.
But anyway, I digress. Yeah, so there's the general, like, Dutchman ghost,
Yeah.
right? I believe that's, like, akin to just, like a regular ghost.
Yeah.
Right? That type of thing. There's a silk cotton tree that supposedly stands in the middle of a Mahaika roadway.
Okay.
Apparently, since 1975, 4 different government regimes of Guyana that have passed,
Okay.
or like presidents or whatever it is, attempted to cut down this tree.
Okay.
Because it's in the middle of, like, I guess this roadway. It's inconvenient,
Of course.
right?
What's it doing there?
Right. They have tried to cut it down.
Right.
Unsuccessful in doing so.
Oh, shit. Sounds like trying to destroy the One Ring. You can't.
I couldn't find any documentation of this, but the reason that they could never cut it down was because they couldn't get any contractors that wanted to take the job. The reason they couldn't get any contractors that wanted to take the job was because when people started to try to cut this down, apparently, there were many mysterious deaths and people being affected by strange maladies. Apparently, somebody, for example, tried to chop it down, lost the ability to speak. Other people trying to chop it down would die, just like mysteriously die. I couldn't find any documentation that that was the case, but that was believed enough that there were no contractors that wanted to take that job.
I believe it.
President Jagdeo eventually made a decision to just diverge the road around the tree.
Wow.
Because it seemed like there's just no point in, right? Because no one wants to do it.
No one wants to deal with that.
No one wants to deal with it.
No one wants to lose their voice or worse.
Right. So again, I've never been to Guyana, hoping to go soon. I should ask Aji about this actually.
Yeah.
But so supposedly this tree is still there.
We should check it out.
From
afar.
From afar. There's lots of lore about why this tree is so haunted.
Yeah, I was going to ask.
But the silk cotton trees, I believe, are like very Dutchman-y.
So they just like it?
I don't know. I don't know for what reason, or I think it has some kind of like macabre, like horrible slavery origin.
That sounds right. But that's interesting because we have the peepal tree in India. Peepal is the tree that's, haunted.
Right.
So you don't want us to take a nap under the peepal?
No.
You just don't.
You're fucked.
Yeah, you don't want that.
Yeah.
That's interesting too, because you were talking about the compulsion to count rice and seeds and other things across cultures.
Yeah,
we have haunted trees.
It seems that multiple cultures do have haunted trees.
That makes sense. They're old.
It makes sense. They've seen a lot of shit.
They've been through it all.
Been through a lot of shit.
They've been there for generations of shit.
That's facts. Yeah.
Just generations of evil.
Yeah. Fucked up.
So unfortunately, and it's stable. So if you're looking for a stable home,
a Jumbee could easily make its home
in a tree.
I
think the best way to test this is to see if animals are comfortable living in that tree. Like if you don't see any nests or see any squirrels running up that tree, then you know for sure that shit's haunted.
That's true. Unless, of course, the Jumbee is an animal lover.
But is the animal a Jumbee lover?
If you or me were Jumbees.
I'm going to the tree with the most fucking squirrels.
With the most squirrels and animals, and we chilling, and they probably would like us.
Yeah. But I guess the difference is we're not evil like the Dutchman ghosts.
Correct. Yeah. No, we would not be.
We should do a whole episode on haunted trees.
Down.
Cultures.
If you have haunted tree stories,
let us know.
Holla at us.
That's the next episode.
Haunted.
I think it's gonna be haunted trees.
Haunted trees, baby. Someone's gonna hit us up and be like, "Yo, bro, I was smoking this weed." Yeah, that shit was fucking haunted.
I mean, if you've got any stories of being haunted while smoking tree, that's fine too.
That's enough. Yo, we could plan that out for the 420 episode.
Dude, look at us. We're coming up with future episodes and shit.
Haunted marijuana stories.
Done.
If you got haunted weed stories, hit us up.
Haunted while high.
Haunted while high. Which obviously it could affect the credibility of your story a little bit.
But I want to hear it anyway.
I want to hear it anyway, yeah.
Who gives a shit?
It's all good.
We have our next ghost. Next Jumbee.
Our next Jumbee, so to speak. Churail. So Churail, of course, will sound familiar to you because it's a corruption of the Hindi.
Churail?
Exactly, which means?
Witch.
Yeah, I believe. But in Guyana, I feel like when people say Churail, it's not necessarily referring to
I think you're right. Diane is witch. Diane is witch.
Yeah.
Churail is something else. No, yeah, it's not. Yeah. It's not actually a witch. That's just I remember being called that and thinking it was a witch.
Well, I mean,
mom cusses you up.
Yeah, so
she's not gonna call you Diane. She's gonna call you Churail.
Right. Well, Guyanese people will say grandmothers or mothers, if you're telling their daughters that they're unkempt, that they look like a Churail.
Churail, yeah.
You're like a Churail.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
I personally interchange the two, even though, you're right. They're not the same. Okay, great.
But the origin story of a Churail, that is on Wikipedia that I'm about to say.
Okay.
It's usually a woman who dies during childbirth.
Oh, shit. Okay, I did not know that.
It's a woman who dies during childbirth. It's kind of like La Llorona.
I was just thinking that.
Obviously, that's not the same thing. She didn't die during childbirth. She killed her children.
But related to children.
Right. So, she dies. It's a woman, the spirit of a woman that dies during childbirth, and then is just like an evil entity, probably just looking for vengeance or mad at the world, or I'm not sure.
That's actually really sad.
It's pretty sad. Yeah, it's very sad.
Now, that's almost even worse that when you get cussed up, you're not called dying, you're called trail. So it's like,
yeah. Because I guess, the entity looks scary or disheveled or whatever. But I agree. Some folklore says that the chirail takes the form of a very attractive woman to try and cause men to fall in love with her.
Okay.
And then she kills them.
Like a siren, kind of.
Like a siren type of a deal. Just kind of like Moongazer. I'm not sure if there's a motivation behind the killing other than being an angry spirit.
Right.
Such is the nature of a paranormal entity, right? You don't necessarily need a motivation.
Yeah, you're just a paranormal entity and you're just getting away with fucked up shit.
You're just getting away with fucked up shit. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a chirail that did that only to like fucked up men?
Okay, I didn't want to say it, but that's what I was thinking.
I mean, that'd be pretty gangster.
I was like, listen.
Right?
I mean, depending on who she's getting rid of, I could be down with her.
I'm saying. Like, for example, imagine if it's a chirail that could lure human traffickers. Then shout out to you.
Then she's doing the Lord's work.
Right, exactly. Guyanese people are very superstitious.
Yeah.
Mad times, if anything is going wrong in your life, they're blaming that shit on a Jumbee.
I feel that.
And maybe it's true.
I wouldn't doubt it.
So obviously, Guyanese people like to take preventative measures.
That's the smartest way to go about it.
Right. So one that I've heard, and I actually got a story about from one of our followers.
Yes.
Who is choosing to remain anonymous. But one superstition that I've heard, that at night you shouldn't walk outside with your hair open because Jumbees and spirits and whatever can latch onto it.
No way.
It seems, honestly, to me, it would be easier to latch onto a braid, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I was going to say the same, because it's like free flying versus
but maybe,
one chunk.
Whatever, maybe it's just in the way that...
Maybe they like nest in it,
Yeah. But for whatever reason, if it's not open, then you're good to go.
Okay.
So if you're walking around after sundown with your hair open, you could be bringing a Jumbee home with you.
Well, a lot of times I am braided, but sometimes we're going out and I'm not in a braid.
Okay, so one of our followers that messaged us, she said that she grew up in Guyana.
Yeah.
And one night when she was riding home from school, I believe, she took a path past the cemetery where she was riding her bike and her hair was open.
Okay.
So obviously at the time, she probably didn't believe in the superstition.
Yeah.
So she said she got home that evening. She had terribly vivid dreams of a demonic figure kind of haunting her. And she said he was making like very horrible faces at her that were freaking her out.
Oh, no.
And she was unable to kind of wake up from this dream. When she woke up and went downstairs, her mom told her that she had been hearing shit banging around in the kitchen all night.
No.
Yeah. It's not like she told her mom, I've been having these dreams. Like she just came downstairs and her mom told her like this had been going on. So it's kind of a pretty big coincidence.
That's like paranormal activity.
It's like paranormal activity. She also said that later in the night, something grabbed her wrist, she said, and squeezed it super hard.
Fuck that.
Maybe they did a little jarre or something
Use
like
a point of broom
or something like that. She didn't say how they resolved this or if it just went away on its own, but she did say that she'll never forget the imagery of that dream, that it was so vivid, it happened so many years ago.
Oh my God.
But she'll never forget the faces that she saw in the dream, and because of that she'll never go out after dark with her hair open.
I literally just got a chill down my spine. I don't know if you saw it. It was a literal chill.
I did see it. Another one that Guyanese people do, which I believe I've heard in other cultures too, so if it sounds familiar to you and you're not Guyanese, let us know.
Yeah.
It's walking in the house backward at night. Because if you're walking in normal, Jumbee could follow you inside.
Oh, so that's why you're keeping an eye out. It knows you're keeping an eye out.
I guess so.
I'm like, not even kidding. I'm about to start.
Because it can't hurt, right?
No.
It can't hurt if our neighbors are looking at us weird, just be like, oh, you must be a Jumbee then.
Yeah.
Right? Because why else would you have a problem with that?
That's right. You shouldn't. You
know what I'm
should
saying?
be practicing.
I'm just minding my business walking. Why are you walking in the house forward? You see what I'm saying?
What's it to you?
What's it to you? Don't worry about how I'm walking in my house.
Yeah, it's my house.
Unless you're a Jumbee.
Right. In which case, I
in
guess
which case
you'll
are,
be worried.
I got a pint of broom in one hand and a fucking key in the other one.
Got some pepper sauce.
Pepper sauce ready.
Some salt.
You know what I mean?
Got it all.
Fuck with me. There is another Jumbee. We can delve into it in another episode.
Yeah.
Because we have a personal account.
Yeah.
But there's a Jumbee called Baku.
Baku.
And Baku is a little guy, like a leprechaun.
Yeah.
So it's a small creature. From what I've heard, Baku will sort of make deals with you to give you what you want, like wealth.
Like the devil.
Kind of like the devil.
Gosh.
Right? Make deals with you. And if you make this deal, it's like making a deal with the devil, right? I've heard, everything ranging from like you owe the Baku your firstborn child.
That's Rumpelstiltskin.
Rumpelstiltskin status.
I feel like we're going to need to like watch something nice after this episode. I'm like actually kind of freaked out.
Yeah, well, that's probably going to be the case after every episode that we do.
Yeah, especially like these ghost types.
So yeah, that about wraps it up for our Jumbee episode here.
Yeah, it was a great
our
episode.
Inaugural episode of Ectoplasm and Evil. So you can follow Ectoplasm and Evil on all platforms: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube.
We here.
Wherever at Ectoplasm and Evil. And you can follow both of us at Tenn Buick, TENN Buick like a skylark.
And I am Swasti Shukla.
And before we sign off, I would like to give another quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yes.
Shout out to Apogee Mics. Without these wonderful hype mics, we would not have been able to record this podcast for you.
We wouldn't have.
If you're loving this audio quality as much as I am, thank the hype mic.
I'm going to hype up the fucking hype mic.
Hype the hype mic, because this makes me sound way cooler than I sound IRL.
It just... Yeah, you know what? I gotta say, you sound cool in general always, but like I can actually stand listening to my voice.
I love listening to your voice.
I hate listening to it, but thank you.
Well, regardless, we both love the hype mic.
We both love the hype mic.
Big up props to Apogee.
Huge.
If you want hype mics, hit them up. Tell them Tenn and Swasti sent you. And I want to give another quick shout out to one of our other great sponsors, Ghost Bed. Shout out to Ghost Bed. We love telling ghost stories from our Ghost Bed. It is legitimately the most comfortable mattress that we have ever slept on.
I sleep like the dead on that thing.
But shout out to Ghost Bed. Couldn't be any more appropriate of a sponsor. And they're just wonderful people over there. They are. And they make great products.
I just want to say, like, their mattress and pillows, it's got cooling technology, so you never have to flip over the pillow for the cool side.
The cooling technology is amazing. It's really as if there's a ghost living in the bed.
Yeah. It's possessed.
It's possessed, yeah. And shout out to all of you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can't believe we finally did this.
And we're going to keep, as long as you guys keep listening, we're going to keep making them.
Yeah, even if there's just 2 of you listening.
Shout out to both of you.
Shout out to both of you.
Which could be both of our moms.
Yeah, both of our moms. Shout out to both of you.
Actually, it definitely won't be my mom. She doesn't watch our scary content.
Oh, yeah, that's true. She skips by.
Yeah.
Mine will listen to it and then hit me up about my cursing.
Probably. So that's it for Ectoplasm and Evil today. We'll see you next time.
Or will we?
Ah!